Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion. Today, I wanted to build on something we talked about last month on the channel in that Sarda versus Kawaki video where we discussed how the difference in perspective that Sarda and Kawaki had when it came to Boruto, where one sees him as a friend who needs to be saved and the other one sees him as a threat to humanity at large, which I'll have that video in the description box down below, since there are points that are made in that video that will help you understand the stance taken in this video regarding the whole thing of like, does Sarda need to kill Boruto to save him? But I'll try to frame everything from here on out in a way where even if you missed that Sarda versus Kawaki video, you'll still be able to follow this one. So jumping right into it, one of the more beautiful things regarding Boruto and Sarda's relationship and her lack of first-hand knowledge about Boruto suffering with Momoshiki is that while it does offer a stark contrast to Kawaki, who sees him both as a brother but also as a threat, but it also is something that forces Sarda to have the greatest personal character conflict that she's had in the series. And at the center of her resolve and how she will handle Boruto is going to be Sasuke, but not in the way you might be thinking. Just as I said when I explained how Sasuke had a role to play in Boruto eventually mastering Momoshiki's power, not because he gets unsealed or he does some chakra mumbo jumbo to train him, but instead the values that are instilled in him as a part of his bet with Naruto, that the soul of a shinobi never changes despite the era. The same is true with Sasuke and Sarada and the lessons he's been trying to teach her. Father and daughter, they are linked together by Boruto in such a strong fashion that it could only be more fashionable if they were wearing the new Naruto Explained merch over on the Teespring, like the Make Konoha Great Again merchandise available with the first and second Hokage. Hokages 3 through 7 coming later. We also have the We Rasengan We Rin merchandise with Boruto on it, Minato and Jura and Naruto coming later as well. Obviously, there are going to be memes of the 2024 presidential campaign slogans for Trump and Harris. Be like my guy LC, one of the patrons over on the Patreon squad, who copped one of the new merches of Toby Rama's t-shirt. If you want to be featured in a video, send me an email with the photo inside of it with the tag thank you. The 10% off promo code is going to be MKGA, short for Make Konoha Great Again, which is what Sarda has spent the last 3 years trying to do. Sarda might have spent the last 3 years trying to defend Boruto as being innocent of Naruto's death and trying to expose Kawaki as a fraud. During that time, she never truly knew about the reality that Naruto wasn't dead, because we have zero indication that Ada ever told her the truth, and we have zero reason to believe that she has learned otherwise until Boruto came back to Konoha to catch Sarda and class rep up on what was really going on. That of course led to everything that we've seen happen now, with Sarda sticking up for Boruto even further when he got arrested, and she came bursting through Shikamaru's Hokage office doors demanding updates during the time after Boruto escaped Konoha. However, the reveal now about Boruto being scared to use the power of karma, and even telling Kawaki that the situation has gotten worse with Momoshiki, telling Kawaki if he were to ever lose control again, he wants Kawaki to kill him. The story is setting up for the opposite of the equation, which is Sarda finally getting to see firsthand how bad Boruto's situation with Momoshiki truly is. The last time she saw Momoshiki take over Boruto's body, the first time, is in a terrible situation gone sideways, which was back in the Boro fight. They were about to be killed, and that power was unleashed to keep them safe, mostly Boruto, but her by extension. The next time she saw Momoshiki take over Boruto's body was briefly when he released Kawaki when Sasuke was holding the sword to his neck, and given how emotionally charged Sarda was in that moment, it's very possible she didn't even fully grasp what was happening there in those split seconds, because Momoshiki, just as quick as he took control, he gave it back up. For her, the experience with the Karma Seal Boruto, it hasn't been the same as Kawaki, and given how dire things are right now, where Boruto is describing Momoshiki's presence as being so strong the last time he tried to use karma, it felt like he was dying inside. It's setting Sarada up to see the worst possible nightmare for her, which is a Momoshiki bloodlusted, in control of Boruto, and that's a big deal. This Boruto right now, without any Karma Seal, he's already higher than Jigen in power, and he's also at a point where he has things like the Flying Raijin, instant teleportation, and jutsu like the Rasengan Uzehiko, which can either kill you slowly or immediately. The person standing in front of her, it won't be her friend. And this is where the Sasuke influence on Sarda really comes into play. Sarda is Sasuke's daughter, a man who has said repeatedly he'd do anything to protect the village, at one point even willing to kill his own student, which made Naruto go ballistic on this guy when he said as much. But as Shadow Hokage, that is Sasuke's duty. However, Sarada, while she doesn't aspire to be a Shadow Hokage to make tough decisions, she does wish to be Hokage, and that's where it gets heartbreaking. Naruto did the one thing that no other Hokage before him would have done, which is when seeing and knowing that his own son was a threat to more than just his village, but the entire shinobi world, he couldn't do his duty as Hokage, which would have been to kill Boruto, because one life, even the life of one's child, doesn't outweigh the lives of the many, not when you're in that position, which is in accordance to what we saw with Hashirama, what he told to Madara, saying that he would kill his own son if it meant it was better for Konoha. She knows how far her father would go. She would see the logic behind it, and yet she would be the type of person to follow in Naruto's footsteps, be a Hokage like none other before, and choose the bonds of love over the cold, hard logic that the Hokage position dictates that one must employ. It would indeed make her the true successor to Naruto's Will of Fire and his legacy as Hokage. What better way to test that than to have her see firsthand what a Momoshiki can do on a rampage with control of Boruto's body that is this strong, watching Boruto struggle to regain control and see how spooked he is in the after fact. In the anime, Sarada knew that Boruto stabbed Sasuke's eye, but she didn't see it happen, and when she heard Boruto's having trouble sleeping, her response was literally, well, my dad said he forgave him, so why is Boruto holding on to the guilt? Which means while she knows the gravity of the situation, she doesn't truly know the gravity of the situation. Let's use a real world example. So it's like if you're someone who's learned how to fight, or you're someone who's learned how to fire a gun. You know what to do in theory. You know that your fist can kill if you hit someone the wrong way, or the bullets you fire, they can kill someone. But things change when you get hit in the face for the first time. Things change when you find yourself getting the life choked out of you. Things change when you hear gunshots that go off that are aimed at you for the first time. Knowing something and being able to actually experience something firsthand, especially for the first time, they are two different things. Boruto's line about Momoshiki taking control, it wasn't just for him, but also for Sarada. At some point, she has to face the reality and the fact that Boruto hasn't told her that truth about this, that the Karmasil has regressed this far. It means that he didn't want her to know about it. Boruto once promised Sasuke that he would look after Sarada for him. And Boruto likely knows that if Sarada knew how bad his Karmasil was, she would throw everything aside to be there to support him. Yet Boruto has to keep that secret from her in order to keep that promise. However, Sasuke is not the only one that Boruto made a promise to. He also made a promise to Sarada that he would be her Shadow Hokage when she became Hokage, something he can't do if he still has Momoshiki to deal with. They together are chasing their dreams that intertwine them together in that respect. Just as Naruto couldn't be Hokage without saving Sasuke, Sarada can't become Hokage without first saving Boruto from his fate. A character in Sarada who is strongly associated with the act of love, to the point that the trauma that caused her Mangekyo Sharingan awakening was also rivaled by the love that she showed for Boruto in that moment. It just makes you wonder how much further their destinies are intertwined into this point. Sarada won't ever turn her back on Boruto, not while he's suffering. Part of the build up to her Mangekyo Sharingan awakening was her crying out, why is it always Boruto? Because he had to carry the burden in silence and in the shadows, being forced into the role of Shadow Hokage unwillingly, even though he was just a 12-year-old child. He had to keep that weight, and it kept increasing over part 1. And now 3 years later, that weight that Boruto carries, it is clearly mentally crushing him. He's arguably barely holding it together. Sarada hasn't been written as standing up for Boruto for no reason, especially in part 2. She carries that strong will of fire that both Naruto and Obito had to never abandon their friends, and she isn't gonna abandon Boruto over this Momoshiki issue, but she must first see this current Boruto lose control to make her confront the true demon inside of Boruto. And the seeds are there from how pissed off Momoshiki was when he realized that Sarada was immune, and she had sent Sasuke to help Boruto, which strengthened his mind enough to keep him from taking over. She has shown anger at Kawaki ever since learning that Kawaki killed Boruto before, but going to stop him in part 1 and in part 2. She has openly stood in defiance to Kawaki when he's talked of killing Boruto, or when he appeared to be in the process of doing something to Boruto when he was unconscious, which we know he was checking to see if Momoshiki had taken over, because he had seen Momoshiki take over when Boruto lost consciousness, and that's how he found the toad. Sasuke once told Sarda in the anime that as the girl who wants to be Hokage one day, she must be prepared to strike down Boruto if he ever becomes a threat to the village. Yet as we saw, she struggled with that, and it is very much so in Sarda's nature to both love as well as to nurture and to protect, and that is a big burden to place onto someone like her. And yet, as they say, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Sasuke was preparing her. As Hokage, you have to be willing to cross some lines that you might not be willing to do so, and it goes back to how Sasuke views the Hokage position, and yet Sarada has taken more after Naruto, and that's where the beauty of this whole dilemma is. The two most important male figures in her life have been guiding her down to having the right information to make the right decision regarding Boruto. Yet both of them, as we see in the story, have conflicting answers. Sasuke says to kill him, Naruto refuses to kill him. I think this is something that the manga should openly play on because of the layers of development it gives Sarada's character by playing on the internal and external conflicts and playing them off of one another. It would be almost as well done as what Denji's going through in Chainsman, which my chapter review here is on the left. So click on that to support my Anime Explained channel, or click here to watch another video from Naruto Explained.